Hey everyone, this is Jake here at whatever, where we literally talk about whatever. But today's video is not about just whatever. It's about tackling the tough conversations, this portion of the channel anyway, tackling the tough conversations about men's mental health, personal growth, and reclaiming control of our lives. All right, so if you're new to the channel and maybe the thumbnail caught your eye and you're here in this section and maybe it struck a chord with you, welcome. I hope you can take some information away with you. I hope you can, or maybe somebody that you know is going through it. Depression, right? Depression leads to so many other things, chronic diseases, broken relationships and stuff. I'm here to give out some information of my personal journey that I've taken and the tools that I've used to get out of it. And hopefully it helps somebody. Hopefully if it helps even one person, then I've done exactly what this part of the channel is set out to do, and that's to help. That is to help. So we're going to be diving today, as the thumbnail says, into a mindset that holds countless men back, and that's the victimhood mentality. If you're ready to break free from those self-imposed limits that come with the victimhood mentality, build a stronger, more empowered life, stick around. Let's get started. We're going to start off by defining what victimhood mentality really is. At its core, it's the belief that life is happening to you rather than for you, because of you. It's a mindset where external circumstances and other people, so you're blaming external circumstances or people for your unhappiness, your failures, your lack of progress, while you're sitting stagnant possibly and you haven't moved anywhere. And while it's true that many of us men face legitimate hardships or trauma or discrimination, bad luck, those are all things that happen to you immediately. Insofar as they happen to you that one time, but that doesn't need to define how you live your life or how you move forward. If you move forward, I hope you move forward. But the victimhood mentality takes that a step further. It keeps us stuck. It robs us, basically just robs us and blinds us of our opportunities for growth and change. All these possibilities that are out there, everything that we can do for ourselves, we just get stuck blaming everybody else because of our circumstances. So why is this mindset so dangerous? Well, I'm going to break it down with a few examples and consequences of why it's dangerous. So number one, paralysis through blame. When you're stuck in a victimhood mentality, blame becomes your default setting. So say something happens to you, something unfortunate happens, maybe you injured your foot or something, you can't work. That's a very simple one. You can recover from that. Or your boss doesn't recognize your potential. Your partner doesn't support you. Or for society creating impossible standards. These are all things that could put you in that mindset. While there may be some truth in the grievances in that immediate situation, constantly assigning the blame elsewhere keeps you from taking responsibility. That's key, okay? I know what that feels like because I have done it. Something had happened in my military career, and I blamed it on everything else. Even though it was unfortunate at the time, just blaming outside circumstances rather than taking control of my emotions, taking control and producing a different outcome, really held me back, and I stagnated, and I turned to drinking and bad habits. And I'm not proud to admit it. I am proud that I got over it, that I surpassed it. But that is just one of the consequences that for me personally, that happened. And if you relate, then you know what I'm talking about. Let's say you're unhappy with your career. Maybe you blame your boss or the economy for holding you back. You might never take the steps necessary to develop new skills. Phrase here. Apply for other jobs or even start your own business. Blame is comforting because it absolves you of your responsibility, but it also chains you. If you're constantly blaming everything else, it chains you down, and you don't take any action to change your circumstances. And that's on you. All right. We're going to move on to number 2, emotional exhaustion. It is exhausting. Living with the victimhood mentality is extremely draining. Emotionally, energy-wise, I mean, you name it. It is extremely draining. When you see yourself as powerless, you can't change your situation, and the world is just not fair, it's unjust, it's easy to become consumed by anger, resentment, and self-pity. These emotions aren't just mentally taxing, right? They also take a toll on your physical health. Because when you're not mentally or emotionally in a good place, it's going to mess up your health. All right. Studies show that chronic stress and negative thinking are linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even heart disease. So that's another thing that you could ask yourself. Is it worth it to feel this way? Is it worth it to be in this place? Chances are, no. But that in and of itself can become an addiction. Being addicted to being in that place. Being addicted to blaming everything else because of your circumstance becomes a habit. Imagine, if you will, carrying the weight of your grudges every single day. It's like running a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. Over time, the grudges pile up, they build up, it becomes too heavy, and you lose the energy and the motivation to pursue your goals or even enjoy your life. Kind of an existence is that, right? That's not anything. I was there. That's not anything that I ever want to be a part of again, is being in that particular, in that mindscape. Because you build that yourself. You build that mindscape yourself. Each and every day, every time you blame everything else rather than pulling yourself out. We're going to move on to number 3, damaged relationships. Maybe this is why you found this video. Who knows? Maybe this is your calling. I don't know. Hopefully, to change. To find the will to change. So number 3, damaged relationships. A victimhood mentality doesn't just hurt you. It affects the people around you. People you care about. People you love. The people that you know that love you. Relationships thrive on mutual respect, accountability. I've talked about that in another video. And growth. You think you just get into a relationship and then, here I am. This is what life is. And y'all don't constantly change and grow into new people. It's like you shed your skin. You have like a new layer of skin every 10 days or something crazy. I don't remember what the science is with that, but that's the same with a relationship. It's like a new layer of skin every so often. Because if you just stayed the same the whole time, it'd be kind of boring, I think. And I don't think that's what life is meant to be anyway. So when you consistently play the victim, let me get back to it. When you consistently play the victim, you may come across as needy or resentful or unwilling to compromise. And this resonates with me for sure, because when I'm stuck in that victimhood mentality, I start blaming everything else. Ruins the relationship. I think they're not doing something, or I think, they asked me a question about something. She asked me a question about something, my wife, and here I am just like making excuses or putting the blame on her, projecting. Talked about that in other videos too. Because that's what you tend to do. That's what blaming everybody else is for how you're feeling. So if you're blaming your partner for your unhappiness, they may start to feel unappreciated or even manipulated. Because that is a manipulation tactic. Deflection and projection. To make them feel bad. Rather than for you taking accountability of how you're feeling. Nobody else, I've said this, and I will die on this hill. Nobody else is in charge of how you feel except for you. Regardless if they say something mean, to be intentionally mean, maybe they're having a bad day. But you don't need to put yourself into that spot, into that space of negativity. That doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve any sort of purpose whatsoever. So you can choose to let it affect you, or you can just say, well, they must have something going on. Regardless of if there's any truth to what they're saying or not, it's like, it shouldn't matter, especially if they're, lying about you or just being mean to be mean. Hey, that doesn't say anything about me. That says something about them. They must have something going on. And that's the mindset that you need to go in with. That dynamic can erode trust and intimacy. It leads to conflict or even the end of the relationship. Because if that is constantly the dynamic, it gets overwhelming, it gets to be too much, and that's it. That negativity just pushes people away. Something to think about. Number 4, missed opportunities. One of the biggest dangers of a victim mentality is how it blinds you to possibilities. Think about that. If you're sitting there feeling sorry for yourself every day, you think you can't do anything. Well, you're not going to be able to, because you're too busy just feeling sorry for yourself all day. You're going to miss opportunities because you're not looking for them. You're looking for sympathy. When you believe that the odds are stacked against you, you stop looking for ways to improve your situation. You convince yourself that there's no point in trying because the system is rigged. You're just not lucky enough. I know I've felt that way. And I didn't do anything. I was just like a couch potato. And I always made excuses. But really, you were in charge of your situation. You were in charge how you handle, how you respond. It's on you. So whether it happens to you immediately and then you carry that with you and then you hinder your progress because you're too busy blaming everybody else for your situation, that only really needed to happen then. Unfortunate stuff happens all the time, but are you going to let it hold you back? That's the real question. Consider this, okay? And I'm sure you may have heard of this before. I don't know. But Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. If he had embraced a victimhood mentality after just his first 100 times, he would have given up. Instead, he said famously, and I quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." When you choose to focus on obstacles rather than solutions, you miss out on the chance to learn, adapt, and succeed. And I know you're capable of succeeding. I'll say this in every video. Got faith in you. You can succeed. Now that's predicated on if you do something different not doing the same thing over and over expecting a different result. So he tried 10,000 different ways to get this light bulb to work. He didn't try the same exact formula every time. So that's the difference. And I relate to that insofar as I was trying to get to a place, a space where I was making the real change that I needed to make, but all I was really doing was I was reading the material and I wasn't putting it into practice. And I thought I was. And I did that over and over a few times. And it wasn't working because I didn't have real intent, conscious effort that I was putting into it. I was looking at it the wrong way. And I did not really want to change. And that's the difference. And this time it's different. I can feel it. I put in the work. I put in the practice. And that's how I've gotten to this point. Because I've failed several times before. But this time I was like, let me change this formula up. You've been too lax. You've not been serious about it. Dig in deep, buddy, because it needs to happen. Number 5, corrosion of identity. The most insidious consequence of victimhood mentality is how it can be part of your identity. You start to see yourself only as a victim. Becomes habitual. That is not a good place to be. You're defined by your struggles and your hardships. This makes it harder to envision a future where you're strong and successful and happy. And people don't want to be around miserable people. So take a moment to ask yourself, who are you without your pain? If your immediate answer is, I don't know, I think it's time to reassess how much power you're giving to your past or your circumstances. I said this in the last video. Your past should only, it's like the atmosphere. Your past should only consist of 1%. 1% of the atmosphere is trace gases, argon, carbon dioxide, stuff like that. And that should be 1% of your life is your past. You can't let it take over how you feel or the decisions that you make. Freya was, as you can tell, Freya likes to join me when I'm talking, and maybe she gets tired of hearing me talk, but how do we break free? Those are 5 examples. But how do we break free? But the good news is that, it doesn't need to be permanent. It's just a mindset. You change your mind every day with simple tasks. And like any mindset can be changed with conscious effort. With conscious effort. And let me give you a few steps, Take responsibility, take accountability for yourself. Acknowledge your role in the outcomes of your life. Doesn't mean blaming yourself for things outside of your control. But take control of the things that you can as you make progress, as you move forward. Okay? You can reframe challenges as opportunities. Instead of change your mindset. This is part of the first one. Instead of seeing obstacles as proof that life is unfair, since it is a mindset, right? View them as chances to grow and learn. Every failure is a possibility or a stepping stone to success if you so choose to learn from it. That's number 2. Number 3, practice gratitude. I learned this one in a book by Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I will have a link to down in the description. His book has really opened my eyes to how you can rewire your brain to work for you, to work with you, to achieve what you want to achieve. Shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. Be grateful for what you have. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to victimhood because it forces you to recognize the positive aspects of your life instead of focusing on the negative, because that energy, if you invite that negative energy in, if you're always thinking about what you're lacking, then that emanates from you. It changes your mood. It changes so many different, your personality. People will see it. They recognize it. You will feel it. Talked about it earlier in the video. I mean, it can have consequences to your physical health. Number 4, surround yourself with empowering people. Seek mentors, friends, or communities that inspire you to take action, and hold yourself accountable. Holding yourself accountable is massive because you are the only one in charge of that, of your mental landscape. Seeking out mentors can be, I'll have a link down. Ed Mylett, superb motivational speaker. I haven't talked to him personally, but I know watching his videos, he's kind of a mentor because he pulls me out of, or he enlightens me on certain subjects, really brings perspective to certain things that he talks about. And it's amazing. I want to meet him. That would be great. And just pick his brain and just hear all of his advice that he's got to give, because it's sound, it's quality advice. And lastly, number 5, focus on solutions, not problems. Whenever you catch yourself complaining, and I've been doing this a lot more consciously, asking myself, what can I do about this? If it's out of your control, why even complain? Focus on what you can control. Even like small steps towards a solution can help you regain some semblance of control. Sometimes it takes small steps, but focus on the solutions. Don't focus on the problems. Focus on how you can fix it or take steps to fix it. Okay? Just a few things to think about this week. That victim mentality, it can be a real pain, but don't let it keep you stuck. Don't let it hinder your growth, as the title of the YouTube thumbnail that I have says. You're capable of so much more than you realize, especially if you're stuck in a depressed state consistently. I hope you found this video helpful. Please, if you'd like to subscribe, or comment, or let me know maybe it's something else that you'd like me to talk about. But you can reclaim control, fellas, of your mental health. It's definitely possible. I do not like talking. I don't like the sound of my voice. That sounds really negative. It just is what it is. All right? I'm not trying to be negative towards myself. I just don't like the sound of my own voice and talking in general, giving a speech or something, but I'm doing it. I'm getting out of my comfort zone. In order to make progress, you need to get uncomfortable. Remember that. In order to make that progress, you need to get uncomfortable. You need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Progress was not made by being comfortable. I can guarantee you that. So until the next video, I hope you gleaned something from this. Until the next video, I hope y'all are having a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. Take care.